Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the executive. Before we start proceedings this evening, I want us to take a moment to reflect on today being Holocaust Memorial Day. This year marks 80 years since the liberation of Auschwitz concentration camp and the 30th anniversary of the genocide in Bosnia. Today is therefore a hugely poignant time to remember the millions of people murdered in the Holocaust under the Nazi prosecution and those lives lost during more recent genocide around the world. Recent genocides represent a failure of humanity to learn from the Holocaust and should serve as a stark reminder for all of us to stand united against prejudice and hatred, which we are sadly seeing rising again in this country and across the globe. 80 years on from the liberation of Auschwitz, anti-Semitism has increased significantly in the UK and globally following the 7th of October attacks in Israel and the subsequent war in Gaza. Extremists have also been exploiting the situation to stir up anti-Muslim Islamophobic hatred in the UK. Many communities in Luton and across the country are feeling more vulnerable from this rise in hostility and suspicion of others. So we hope that Holocaust Memorial Day this year can be an opportunity for people to come together to learn both from and about the past and take actions to make a better future for all. If you could all please stand now and join me in a moment's silence to remember all of those who lost their lives in the Holocaust and in the genocides that have taken place since, along with all the innocent victims of ongoing conflicts around the world. Okay, thank you, everybody. I'll now move on to the agenda. Apologies for absence, Matt.
Yes, Chair. Apologies from Councillor Javeer Hussain.
Thank you very much. Can I sign the records of the meeting the 6th of January and the 13th of January as true record, please? Thank you very much. Obviously, Section 106, Local Government Finance Act, remind members to declare an interest if they have. Any other disclosures of interest on the agenda? We have no business not covered by the current forward plan. No business not covered with special urgency. We do have a reference from FRG, but that is in the private sector of the agenda. We have no recommendations from scrutiny reviews, no petitions, and we move therefore on to item 6, which is the progress update from the Luton 2040 report. Following the corporate peer challenge last year in March, it was recommended that we develop a data-driven roadmap for Luton 2040, setting out clear targets and milestones for the next 15 years. These outcomes, measures, targets and milestones were approved in autumn last year, and these now form our roadmap to Luton 2040. For each outcome, we have identified a single measure that will take a temperature check on our progress towards each outcome. These measures do not give the full picture of the progress we are making, but will give an indication of what is heading in the right direction and what isn't. The Luton 2040 Progress Report and Roadmap for the first time allows us to describe what success for Luton 2040 will look like and where we are on the journey towards it. Something we will share not only internally within the council, but with our key system partners around the town. The roadmap helps us set priorities for the following 2 years as outlined in the 2027 milestones and focus areas. As well as painting that picture for Luton 2040, the report also highlights successes in recent years, such as the 5,000 Luton residents lifted out of destitution over the last 12 months, which is a splendid way to end my recommendations, I think, for the people of this town. So I'd like to ask the Executive to adopt the Luton 2040 roadmap and publish the associated reports. I'll take any questions. No questions? Oh, sorry, Javid.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the report. Just pages 35, before we publish it, if we can just correct the bit about home to Premier League Town Football Club, and also just confirm that number on the population, a town of 225,000. I think that's gone up. So if you can just correct those 2 points before we publish it.
Which? Luton Football Club?
Page 35, I think Jamie's got it.
Which bit? Sorry.
Page 35, James picked it up. Yeah. So
James picked it up, has she?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes, that's it.
Just on the child poverty one, I know last year we had a bit of a discussion on how we define child poverty in terms of how the Tory government was defining it and how the Child Poverty Action Group was defining it was quite different. I was just wondering, because I think we had some sort of discussion around amending the definition. I think it's obviously important we get it right to show that, you know, we're not moving the goalposts. So how's that, how are we defining? Is it 60% median income or household income, or is it, have we used a different measure?
Can you deal with that question?
The key poverty measure that we're using is our minimum income standard, which is bespoke for Luton, based off a model developed by the Joseph Rowntree. So it looks at income across the town, and then both house and energy prices and other costs associated. And that builds the model to tell us the shape of poverty within the town, which is where the destitution line comes in. So we can say for, I believe, on almost street by street basis within the town, the level of income needed to afford basic need or to be able to thrive and all those other bits. So it's been developed specifically for Luton. That's what we're using to track destitution within the town. For child poverty, we're using the national figures, but we're really encouraged that those two data points seem to be talking to each other and there's overlap. The minimum income standard has been developed by the business intelligence team specifically for Luton and was recently highly commended in a national award. It's a really, really good bit of work.
It's more information on page 44 if you wanted to read in more detail. Okay. Anybody else? Are we happy to agree? Thank you very much. Move on to item 9, and that's over to yourself, Umi.
Thank you, Chair. The Family Help Strategic Plan outlines our vision to create a healthy, fair and sustainable town where everyone can thrive and no one has to live in poverty. To achieve this, we must ensure that the right help is available to families at the earliest opportunity and strive to keep families together where possible. I'm here to seek the Executive's agreement for the adoption of our new Family Help Strategic Plan that replaces our Early Help Strategy. So for some context, in 2024, following the Government Social Care Reviews and its 2023 response, Stable Homes Built on Love, the Families First for Children Pathfinder programme was developed to test how to reform children's social care. The reforms looked at 4 key areas. So number 1 was the multi-agency safeguarding arrangements and education becoming the 4th statutory safeguarding partner. Number 2 was strengthening family networks and providing bespoke packages to further support. Number 3 was family help, and number 4 was developing a multi-agency child protection team. These are critical changes required to reduce the number of children and families that we see at the point of crisis. The new government is in the process of bringing forward a children's wellbeing and schools bill. This bill underlines the commitment to the family help model that merges our existing targeted early help and child in need services into multidisciplinary teams designed to provide families in need with better, less stigmatising support with a view to keeping families together, with a strong commitment to including the wider family in decision-making and multi-agency child protection teams. So our plan sets out the aims and objectives for Luton's family help offer to our children and families and how it can be accessed. Our aim is to encourage family engagement by establishing a service that is experienced as a supportive partner, working in close partnership with our communities, something that builds strength and resilience into family systems and enables our families to navigate the challenges they face and enable lasting relationships that sustain change. The aim is to strengthen and expand the early intervention and prevention support offered to our children and families with strong alignment between the new family help service and our family hubs, ensuring all families that require support receive it at the right level and the right time. The risks of not adopting this strategy is that if we do not transform to a family help model of service delivery, we will not be compliant with the social care reforms which are being rolled out nationally from April 2025. Families will continue to have a service where they relive trauma by having to retell their story to multiple professionals, reducing engagement. Families would also continue to receive more statutory intervention rather than early intervention as set out in the social care reforms, increasing the need for costly crisis interventions such as more children and child protection plans and subsequently coming into care. So my proposal is that the executive agree and support the effective rollout of the Family Help Strategic Plan. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Umi. Are there any questions? Rob?
Yeah, I don't know if this is a question or not. I think it's more asking the council really from a whole council point of view, because the bit about resilience is really important to me, because it's something I think we may be missing. And I've just wondered, you know, once we get the children into the school area, primary and into the academy or high school, that the curriculum take over resilience? Because I think the curriculum, from my own personal point of view, has too much power. And I'd like to see more resilience brought into schools. And I just wondered if you're working with the education team as well, in relation to bringing that resilience into primary and high school as well. Thank you.
So it's part of our... Oh, sorry, Carol.
I thought you were giving me the nod and asking me to answer that one then.
So if I start, and then I'll ask if Carol wants to come in. Great question, Councillor Roach. Thank you very much. Our aim with Family Help is absolutely that we cannot do this alone, and we need to have a multi-agency response, but also a community response. So our help and support to families has to be from all our partners, because those issues and challenges actually we might not necessarily hear about. Children spend majority of their waking lives in schools. They are the ones that know them, they understand their needs, and you will know that we launched our education reset plan, which is now entering its phase 2 of implementation, and it's very much about looking at all the various strategies that help and support our children, whether that's care in the home, challenges in the community, or their education and resilience that they pick up from school.
Okay, Rob? Yeah. Any other questions? Tom?
I think it's on page 75 of your report, you mentioned work alongside housing. One of the problems we've got is has there been a joint protocol signed between children's services, housing and adult services? Because yet again I'm dealing with a case where a woman with 4 children she was evicted by housing from temporary accommodation, picked up for a few days by children's services, because the children's service, I won't say the name of the hotel she was in, children's services decided to stop paying that money. She won't qualify for housing because she's been found intentionally homeless. Surely there should be a joint protocol between the 3 departments where it gets dealt with by one council instead of the different departments arguing over whose budget heading it should come under. We are going to have to pick her up, or we are going to have to take the children into care. But it's no good as any of us denying it, because I sat in a meeting where someone from social services has been arguing with the housing officers over whose budget was paying for it. And it's wrong. Surely it should be one council, and the only way would be a joint protocol or anything like that. But I understand this afternoon there isn't one between children's services and housing. Why?
Thanks, Tom. We've been speaking about the same thing. So Dear Urge is in close discussion with housing. We should already be working in partnership, not working in silos in the same council. But I'm sure you can expand further on the exact discussions that have been happening, but they've definitely been happening about getting us to work together better.
So, so we absolutely have a joint housing protocol with housing and children's services, and it's both for 16, 17-year-olds who present as homeless, but also for homeless families. But Councillor Shaw, you're absolutely right. I don't think we've necessarily always gotten it right, and you've seen the first-hand examples of that. One of the ways in which we're really targeting homelessness is to have dedicated housing and homelessness advice, support, guidance and resource within our family help arena. And that's not just, again, led by just children's services. It's going to be a joint venture with housing, and that will bring in that culture of one housing approach. But within that, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, there are different legislations that we have to be minded to, which then give rise to different funding pots. But actually, that's not for the families to have to worry about. They need help, and they get the help that then prevents them from having some of the other socioeconomic challenges that they might face as a result of housing and homelessness issues.
Okay, Javed?
Thank you, Chair. Page 72, I'd question if the population is correct again on page 72 of that report. And also page 73, the one about rent, 1,050 for a 3-bed, that's miles out, because I don't think, Tom, looking over at Tom, I don't think you can get any 3-bedroom for £1,050. Not in Luton. I think that's a long way out. I would average rents are more like 1,500, so if we can sort of just check that figure. That was, and also I welcome these metrics, and I hope that next year we can see the attainment and education improve. That would be, very nice when we see the year after. The attainment is only 6%, that gap. I look forward to the 26, 27 that these metrics have got better, but the two areas are that the rent is wrong and the population are out of sync.
You're going to take that away and check that? Yeah? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, any other questions from anybody? No? Are we happy to agree the report? Thank you. Now move on to housing benefit and council tax reduction. Over to yourself, Rob.
Thank you, Chair. This is the risk-based verification policy. It's a method of applying different checks to new claims for housing benefit and council tax reduction according to the risk associated with these claims. The aim is to reduce the burden on customers to provide excessive evidence and enable low-risk claims to be assessed and put into payment more quickly. Efforts can then be concentrated on those claims with a higher risk category where there is an increased chance of fraud and error. The risk-based verification module was originally introduced by Luton in October 2014. Once the customer applies for help online, they receive immediate confirmation of the verification required to complete their claim. It is important that the overarching policy is applied as future subsidy audits will be based on this. Each new claim received is allocated a risk score in real time of low, medium or high. The evidence requirements will differ based on the risk score assigned with higher risk claims requiring greater evidence to support the claims. An updated risk-based verification policy was approved in March 2024. The policy must be reviewed each year and cannot be amended in year, as this would complicate the subsidy audit process. The policy for Luton Council has now been reviewed for 25-26 with only minor changes, and these do not affect the substance of the policy. So the recommendation is to approve the continued use of the risk-based verification policy for 25-26. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Are there any questions? Happy to agree the recommendation? Thank you very much. We now move on to item 11 in the new Procurement Act, target operating model and policy. James?
Thank you. This council spends substantial amounts with third-party suppliers each year. In 22-23, this was 261 million, of which 145 million was general fund, making this one of the largest opportunities for the council to secure value. A high proportion of this spending is conducted via the corporate procurement team, which in recent years has come under increasing pressure due to increased demand and reduced capacity. Additionally, new public sector procurement legislation, namely the Procurement Act 2023, is coming into force on the 24th of February 2025, which, amongst other requirements, places greater emphasis on the transparency from contracting authorities and the obligation to publish additional public notices. The timing of the Procurement Act coming into effect alongside recent challenges faced within the corporate procurement team has provided an opportune moment for a refreshed procurement policy and a review of the service and its wider operating model to ensure compliance with the incoming legislation and to recommend a modernised and effectively resourced corporate procurement service that is well placed to support the ambitious Luton 2040 programme and the Council's transformation programme. The Council must have arrangements in place to procure contracts compliant with legislation and also designed to deliver the wider overarching Council objectives. To that end, I propose we accept the recommendations within the report. The first recommendation will ensure that all procurement activities are undertaken in accordance with Council policies and wider legislation, and this will reduce the possibility of receiving any challenges to our processes which could result in legal, financial or reputational harm. The second recommendation will deliver the resources required to meet the legal obligations and also enhance our ability to drive social value and improve performance from contracts. The new structure will take a category management approach to the tenders and add capacity to improve market engagement to increase our ability to attract competitive tenders. And the third recommendation will allow the procurement team to focus on higher value requirements where their experience can add value and improve outcomes. It will also give services the freedom to get quotes at a local level in a timelier way. An incredible amount of work is already underway to implement the Act in February 2025, and the combination of the new structure, updated policy and movement in threshold will enable the team to deliver increased focus on category and contract management. This will support services to drive out efficiencies and savings in coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Are there any questions? Tom?
Yeah, just one. Hopefully we can work together. Last Thursday, I had the Eastern Region Climate Change Ball, and one of the things, parts of that discussion were about green apprenticeships. How sometimes it's only 12, 18 months for a project in Luton, and what we managed to get an agreement out of the old board is that we can all work together on green apprenticeships. And surprisingly enough, they said they work with us on other apprenticeships as well. So to pull it all together, the Eastern Region LGA are going to be the lead body on it, pulling it all together, seeing what councils can put into it. So I hope through our procurement we can actually, by creating more apprenticeships, work with the rest of the Eastern Region, like Central Bedford as well agreed to it, which surprised me, and Bedford Borough. Really surprised me. But all the representatives, what were from the Eastern Region agreed it'd be a good opportunity for us all to start working together on procurement, especially on green energy, to get maximum apprenticeships out of it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That sounds like a great initiative, and by implementing this policy, that'll allow us to do that by freeing up our officers' time instead of looking at those smaller amounts, to spend more time focused on those bigger contracts where they can really drive out the social value and the monetary value as well. So yeah, more than happy to take that on board and ensure that's implemented in our policy.
Eastern Region is going to read.
Okay.
If you want to drop me some details, I'm more than happy to pass that on.
Anybody else? Javid?
Thank you, Chair. Page 113, third paragraph. To ensure there is no financial impact on the general fund, annual equivalent savings of at least 500k per year will need to be delivered from the 500 million contracts. I would like to see that say must be delivered. I think we've got an excellent procurement team, and I think we should really be, it shouldn't be needed, it should be a must.
So I think that's a comment from the integrated impact assessment. So it's not a target within the report itself, it's just someone offering their opinion on how it should go. So I don't think I can forcibly change that word, that word, so that's someone else's words. But I take it on board that this is important to help delivering what we need to do as a council, and by putting these changes in place, it will help us to do so. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? Happy to agree the report? Thank you. Move on to item 12, and over to yourself, Kachita.
Thank you, Chair. This is for Executive to recommend and agree a direct award to the current drug and alcohol treatment contract with CGL for a period of 12 months, with the contract end date moving from the 31st of March 2025 to the 31st of March 2026. This is required to ensure service provision while we progress the re-tendering next steps, as outlined in more detail below.
Okay, are there any questions? Happy to agree the report? Thank you very much. Now can I take the regulation 4 as written, please? Thank you.